Hi, first graders. It's Mrs. Orison. I get to introduce you to our folktale of the week. I am going to be reading to you the folktale by the Brothers Grimm called The Golden Goose. It has some really great life lessons in it, or as we like to say, the moral of the story, the lesson that we learn. So pay attention and think of some things that you might be able to learn from people's good choices and from people's bad choices as you listen to the story.
The Golden Goose. Once upon a time there were 3 brothers. The eldest brother was called Jacob, the middle brother was called Rolf, and the youngest brother was called Fritz. But people called him Simpleton. Such a mean nickname for such a nice young man, but his older brothers were bullies, and poor Fritz had to put up with their teasing every day. One morning the 3 brothers set out for the forest to chop some wood. "Let's split up and see who can get the most timber," said Jacob. "Not that you'll be much competition, simpleton." Jacob and Rolf laughed at their younger brother and went their separate ways, but Fritz decided to stay put, right next to the big old oak tree. As the morning wore on, the eldest brother Jacob was about to eat his lunch when a little old man appeared at his side. "Afternoon, lad," he said. "Can you spare me any food or drink, please?" "No way," said Jacob. "If I give you my lunch, I'll have nothing for myself." The little old man vanished as quickly as he had appeared, but when Jacob carried on chopping, he got a splinter in his finger. It was so painful, he had to give up and go home. Next, the old man appeared by Rolf, just as he was about to bite into his sandwich. "Afternoon, lad," he said. "Can you spare any food or drink for me, please?" "Forget it," said Rolf. "I'll have nothing for myself." Once again, the little old man disappeared. After lunch, Rolf knocked over his woodpile, which came crashing down on his toes. Rolf had to give up and limp home. Meanwhile, Fritz had been toiling away, sawing through the trunk of the mighty oak tree. He had just sat down for a bite to eat when the little old man appeared at his side. "Hello, lad," he said. "Can you spare me any food or drink, please?" "Of course," said Fritz. "We'll share what I have." The little old man smiled and sat down, and they shared a nice lunch and a friendly chat. When they had finished, the old man said, "You seem like a good lad. I'll tell you what, if you look on the other side of this oak tree, you'll find a gift for me. But take my advice. Don't take it home or your brothers will claim it for themselves. Go out into the world instead." At that, the old man disappeared. Fritz looked behind the tree, and sure enough, there was a big, fat goose with feathers of pure, shining gold. It was an astonishing sight. Fritz's first thought was to give the golden goose straight to his mother and father, but remembering the little old man's advice, he picked it up and set off for the local inn. Now, the innkeeper had 3 daughters who, when they caught sight of the bird's beautiful plumage, were desperate to own one of the goose's precious golden feathers. It wasn't until the next morning, when Fritz stepped outside for a moment, that the eldest daughter took her chance. But just as she tried to pluck out a single feather, her hand became stuck fast to the goose's wing. The middle sister came in soon after, and when she saw the goose, she tried to push the first sister away. As she did so, she too became stuck fast. Moments later, the youngest sister came in. "Ah, trying to keep those golden feathers to yourselves, are you?" Then, ignoring her sister's pleas to keep away, she too became stuck. There they were. The youngest sister stuck to the middle sister. The middle sister stuck to the oldest sister. And the eldest sister stuck firmly to the goose. Fritz laughed when he found them. "You'll just have to join my adventure," he said. And he tucked the goose under his arm and set off with the sisters trailing behind. Before long, they passed the church, where the vicar was surprised to see 3 girls tripping along the road after a man with a golden goose. The vicar ran after them. "What is going on?" he asked, and tapped the youngest sister on the shoulder, but as he did so, he too became stuck. Soon they marched past the local policeman, who was the most puzzled by the peculiar procession. "Help!" cried the vicar. "Grab my hand! Set me free!" The policeman chased after them, and when he grabbed the vicar's hand, he too became glued to the end of the strange, goosey queue. On they went, Fritz and his golden goose, the 3 sisters, the vicar, and the policeman, until they passed a farmer and his wife. When they saw the odd scene, they shouted, "Going somewhere nice?" But when they heard the line of people crying, "Help! Pull us free!" they ran to help them and soon found themselves part of the curious parade. At last, Fritz came to the gates of the city. The king who reigned there had a daughter who was so serious that in her whole life she had never laughed or even smiled. Long ago, the king had posted a decree in the square. The person who could make the princess laugh would win her hand in marriage. When Fritz saw this, he headed straight for the palace. As he did so, more and more people heard the cries of the 3 sisters, the vicar, the policeman, the farmer, and his wife, and they also became stuck to the trail of the golden goose. Soon, Fritz and his goose were followed by stall holders, a fishmonger, soldiers, a circus performer, and even a royal officer. When the princess looked out of the palace window and saw everyone tripping along behind Fritz and the golden goose, she let out a roar of laughter. The king ran to the window and began to chuckle too. "Guards," he shouted, "bring me that man with the golden goose." Soon, Fritz, the golden goose, and the long line of people came marching, stumbling and reeling into the throne room. When the princess saw their faces, she laughed even harder. The people shouted and demanded that Fritz be punished, but the king guffawed. When he finally stopped laughing, he started at the back of the queue and asked each person how they became stuck in line, until he reached the 3 sisters. "We tried to steal some of the goose's golden feathers, Your Majesty. We're sorry," they wailed. At that moment, every single person in the line became unstuck. The king dismissed them all except for Fritz, who presented the golden goose as a gift to the royal family. The king was delighted, the princess grinned, and Fritz went on to become her loyal husband, who made her laugh every day. And his brothers? They never dared call Fritz a simpleton again.
I hope you liked the story. I really like that Fritz was able to overcome some hard things and being teased by his brother and being resilient and still being a kind person. The other thing I really like is that Fritz was able to make the princess laugh. I think laughter is important. And today I thought maybe we could share some laughter together. So for your project, you get to come up with a joke to make the princess laugh. Epic is a great place to go and look for jokes. You can just type in the search joke books and you can find some great jokes on there, or maybe you know a joke all to yourself. My joke says knock knock. Who's there? Doris. Doris who? Doors closed. That's why I'm knocking. I hope you thought that was funny. So share your favorite joke right here. And then I want you to share what you think the moral of the story is on the line below, the lesson that you learned. Make sure you put your name on your paper. And Miss Orison loves to see tons of colors, and I know Miss Sanzini and Miss Mason does too. So do your best effort take a picture of it, upload it on Seesaw, and bring it back to class because we would love to share it with everybody else. I hope you have a fabulous Friday. We're so excited to get you all back in the classroom next week.